Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.
On how we as believers should actually protect our sexual organs.
Okay, yes.
And here Allah says in Surah 23 verse 56, the believers are those who protect their sexual organs except from their spouses. Therefore, whosoever seeks beyond that, and the beyond that means sexual gratification, then they are the transgressors.
Okay.
Right? So we need to really look at what the Qu'ran is telling us, and nearly all the books on sex, produced by doctors and psychiatrists and others, they actually sort of see this as being harmless, right? And they see it more from a purely physical approach.
Okay.
And they tell us, no, it's something that's okay. It's something that people do in their privacy and things like that. So, but there's a lot of misinformation also around it, where the young people are also being introduced, or this particular topic or concept is being introduced to them, by saying that it causes insanity, that it causes a loss of virility and sterility and things like that. Scaring our youth actually with lies is not the thing to do.
No, definitely not.
So our premise where we speak from today is Allah and is from Allah,
yes.
and of course the preservation of the fitrah of every human being. So so it's not allowed because it's the reason why it's not allowed.
Because everybody just says that it's not. No, it's haram.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
But we need to give our youth, and we also as adults, as teachers, should also know why it is haram, why it is not allowed, because it's harmful psychologically as well as emotionally, right? Because when the act is done, Sister Qadira, the mind is actually on the self.
Yes.
It's about your own imagination, right? Rather than also even better because you are the master of yourself, right? You don't have to worry about your partner's feelings, right? And this is actually what the secular law actually suggests. It's about being self-centered, right? Selfish attitudes and the seeking of self-gratification with the exclusion of a spouse, and not being intimate with your wife. No, that is the concern, Sister Qadira, because why also it is psychologically harmful, because it produces a guilty conscience and destroys normal confidence. Because here we need to teach our children and the youth that sexuality and sex is also that experience belongs only in marriage.
Definitely.
Now this will actually perhaps happen when the children are young. You know what I mean? Before marriage.
Yes.
So it is actually very harmful to the young person. So here we see once again what Allah says. When Allah says it's haram, it's not because just for the sake of saying it, but it's because of really His interest in the preservation of that human being, especially our male children and the men. So here we because I asked Zainab now, because was this topic already being discussed on radio, right? And she said to me, but yes, it has been discussed, and we it's been, the shuyukh actually answered people by saying, it is haram, but not saying why it is haram. So now we know it's psychologically and emotionally harmful to the human being.
But I think that is the way a conversation usually goes when you cover a topic on intimacy and love and relationships. A lot of emphasis is placed on the boundaries, what is allowed and what is not allowed, without a reason given.
Because Allah Ta'ala won't really tell us or command us you know, of halal and haram
Without
any
valid
reason, and not if he has the human being and his creation in mind, and to preserve that human being.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So here we have now an understanding why it is actually haram, but also why circumcision. There's a link between circumcision and masturbation.
Okay.
You see, the moral aspect is when we do circumcise our sons, Sister Qadira, this is actually to prevent also for young boys to get that sensation.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? So the circumcision is actually a sunnah, as we say,
Yes.
but there's a spiritual aspect also to it, Sister Qadira, because if you look at our great father Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, and this I found actually in the Jewish scripture,
Yes.
where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually commanded him to circumcise himself at the age of 90, because he was Allah's friend, and Allah knew he will actually obey every command
Yes.
that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him. He will execute that command. And since that practice also, he now circumcised his 2 sons.
Yes.
So if we circumcise our sons, Sister Qadira, that means we are part of that particular pure lineage, that moral lineage of monotheism. So that's why certain people or certain communities or certain communities or certain societies actually circumcise the son or their boys at the age of 7. It's because the boy will always remember the wound,
Yes.
right? And if he remembers the wound, he remembers also the pain that goes with it, right? So that means he will also be careful how he uses the male member.
Yes. No.
You
definitely.
understand what I mean? So don't you see that also as a prevention of teen pregnancies?
Yeah. It also makes one wonder why then are you circumcising your 7-day-old son?
Yeah. You see, the 7-day-old son also, there's some practices or traditions where they believe, like, rather the 7-day, because you know, for health reasons, for sanitary reasons, because of the foreskin. But the thing is, because the male organ is so sensitive, Sister Qadira, we know it has about 6,000 nerve endings, right? And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's allowed, even though it's not mentioned in the Quran, because there's certain, you know, communities change, people change, behavior change. It might not be necessary in one particular community, it might be necessary in another community. So just for an example, I want to use the example here of the Native American people. And we know that they never, you know, they were never fully covered. They wore these skins to cover loincloths. So, but, you know, it was a clean society. You know what I mean? There was no other interferences. There were no other visuals and no other suggestions and things that actually impact on the imagination, you know? And in this particular research, I discovered that it was the colonialists that came and introduced this particular concept to them. And they were very much offended of what happened. And for them it was like very an offensive, really it was reprehensible to them, really for these colonialists to come and introduce these kind of suggestions to a clean and pure community who were actually they saw as being uncivilized. You understand what I mean? So here we see the link and the reason why we circumcise our sons, Sister Qadira. You know, it was interesting to actually one of our facilitators actually had a workshop with boys. And he actually posed a question to them and asked them, you know, how many of you are circumcised? And none of them remembered. None of them knew that they were circumcised. They thought they were born like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I suppose that is then the mindset that they grow up with when you circumcise them at 7 days old as opposed to 7 years old.
That's the difference, because I remember my brothers, you know, and our community at that particular time, it was done when they were 7 years old, you know, and it was a communal thing. Right, because we know at the end of the year, when it's like 6 weeks school holidays, then these little boys, they had to go to the imam and actually have themselves circumcised and taken by the parents. And then they wore these white thobes and loose underpants. mommy specially made those white underpants for the boys
Yeah.
so that they could actually have room to heal. You know what I mean? Not wearing a tight pants and things like that.
Yes.
So here we see the memory is important. The memory is important. And I discovered this beautiful examples also of the African tradition, Sister Kajira.
Yeah.
You know, when these young men also, that rites of passage, when they go from, when they say goodbye to boyhood and to be welcomed into manhood.
Yeah.
So it has a particular purpose, you know, but it's all about
Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.